Aloha and welcome to this really brief screencast on color blocking. This is a technique that's really common in home pages for web apps. You can see, for example, this site here, Center for Open Science. Basically, they use different colors, background colors, as ways to delineate the major content sections. Instead of having some section title, they just make the background a different color to delineate it. It's very nice. Here's another example of it. This eNertive, they have kind of a little video type thing, and then they've got this white background area, and then they've got a blue background area, and they got another, I don't know, cement background area. And then they even have this little area that's like four different sections. Then another blue area, and then the footers in black. So you can see it's a really very powerful layout technique that makes your site cleaner but still gives the sense of the different sections. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, I made a little site here, not nearly as nice as the Science or eNertive site, but still gets the basic idea across. We have one little section that's got a gray background, then one with a white, then one with a black, and then finally one with an actual image as the back. So how do we actually implement that? Let me go to idea, and basically you do it through, I have an index.html file which loads a very simple style file, and there's my background image in there. So there's only 3 files you have to worry about. The basic idea is that doing the background is outside of semantic UI. Okay, you're just using straight HTML and CSS to do the background. So there's nothing specific to semantic UI. You won't find a class for that in semantic UI. And the second thing is, you'll notice that to do this background stuff, you're always going to have an outermost div with any semantic UI stuff, in particular the container thing, happening inside it. Okay, so before we start embedding our semantic UI classes, we do this background image stuff. And that's in order to make sure that that the background is full width of the page, whereas semantic UI, if you use a container class, it's going to create margins. Okay, so, geez, this is irritating. So that's the first thing to note, is that you put your background stuff at the very top level of your page. What do those classes look like? They're pretty simple. For a gray background, I create a background color. For a white background, I define the white background color. For a black background, I do a black background color. And then for an image-based background, I use this URL syntax with a set of modifiers that kind of produce the effect that you generally want for this kind of thing. So that's the basic idea, and then and then there's these other things that you see, like the height and this color block top, which I'm using, and a few other things I have to do to kind of make it look right at the end of the day. So, for example, if we don't have this height in there, and then we go look and see, if we go look and see what the site looks like, you can see that there's no, there's no bottom margin. And furthermore, if we go back and get rid of this color block top from here, okay, let's see what that looks like now. Okay, so this is kind of how it starts out if you just have the background. And you see that first of all, the header is creeping up right against the top of it, which doesn't look good, and it is only occupying the space that the interior components have. And sometimes that's exactly what you want. Other times you want to add a little space. And so, for example, to add some space at the top, I created this class called color block top, which simply adds padding top 20 pixels. Okay, So that's the first kind of customization of this that you might want to have in order to get the right look and feel, okay, to the page. And okay, so let me put that back in. Okay, so that's so now we're returned to kind of our original state. So the two things you might want to consider doing when you create these backgrounds is, do you want to have a fixed height in order to provide enough space, and do you want to add some padding in various places to provide a nice margin? Okay, the second thing you're going to notice is that the black background, okay, we need to invert the colors of the fonts, right? So if we go to here, you can see I'm using black colored fonts for everything else, but in the black background, obviously it wouldn't look good if we had a black font as well, so we need a white font. So how do we accomplish that? And that turns out in Semantic UI to not be as kind of trivial as you might like. Essentially, what I do is the first thing in the style.css for the black background, I set the color of the font to be white smoke. And in the best of all possible worlds, you would hope that that would uniformly set the color of everything to be white smoke, but it's not the best of all possible worlds. Okay, and it turns out in the black background, I have to explicitly add some styling to my H1 class to make it white. So if I take this away and I see what the site looks like, you can see that the header becomes the default header color, which is black, so you can't see it. So to fix that, what you can do is add that explicit style. You could create a class and add that on, or just put a style in there however you like. Okay, so that's how the black background works. The last, and you may find when you have links in there, you might have to style them a little differently to get the right inverted color. So using dark backgrounds tends to be a little bit more of a hassle, but you just have to kind of go through and manually hack it so that the colors turn out right. Okay, the last one to look at is this when you have an image as the background. So I create this class called grad background because I have this graduates throwing their caps up in the air image. And again, you can try this approach to it. Just put your image in the URL tag, and I have it at the top level, so I don't need to have any relative direction into an image's subdirectory or anything like that. And then I provide a height, because again, by default, it will only be as tall as the interior text, and if you don't have much interior text, you don't get much of a look at your background. Okay, so then if we preview this again, we can see we've got this this image as the background, and then you might, it's black font, but you might want to modify that if you like. Okay, so there you go. I think that's pretty much the entire all you really need to know to get started with color blocking. It's a nice technique, makes your home pages look pretty good, and as you can see, it's not very hard at all.